Hello everyone, welcome back to the stream. Good to see you all, good to see you. Alrighty, so we're gonna just be working more on Alchemortis. Of course, what else is there to do, right? Yeah, I'm kind of just in a mode right now where I'm just doing a bunch of content because content needs to be done. So I spent a lot of time for the playtest, like fixing up systems and tweaking balance and stuff, and now I'm kind of like, I just want to spend a good chunk of time just adding a bunch of new stuff to the game. That doesn't mean I won't do other things, like I obviously have to do the combat log and all that stuff still. But, you know, it's one of those things where like it all needs to be done, right? So I'm not really going to be wasting my time by taking a break and just doing a bunch of content, because that's actually going to make my life easier in the future once we get closer to release, right? So every item I add is an item I get closer to having 400 total items in the game. And I wonder how many I have right now, actually. Let's see. Absolute total cards, we're at 203 total cards, so we have only 197 to go. We're barely past halfway to the goal. So yeah, but 203 cards in this current version of the game. Items, as they're called now. Anyway, before I get into it, I want to remind everyone that Alchemortis is available for wishlisting, so give it a wish list if you like. The playtest is also still going on. I don't know exactly how much longer the playtest is going to go, but we are going to be approaching the end of it very shortly, so get your playtest time in while you still can. You could also support the game on Patreon. If you subscribe at the top tier for at least 1 month, I will send you a Steam key for the full game, so you won't have to buy it on Steam, and your name will be listed in the in-game Alchemortis credits. And you could also purchase my Udemy courses. This is a great way to support me, and it's a great way to learn how to build games in the Godot engine. All right, let's get into it. Hello, Clickertail, welcome. Good morning, Ninja Link, good to see you. Celestial General, welcome, good to see you. Thank you, Ninja Link, for the Prime subscription for 5 months. Man, that's awesome. Thank you, Ninja Link, appreciate that. Hello, Asymmetrics, welcome back. It's been a while. That opening video is so juicy. I'm glad you like it, yeah. New trailer for Alchemortis. Hello, Daniel B. Stuff, welcome. I watched the interview, good one. Oh, thank you. Yeah, for anyone that knows the Dev Dream podcast, which if you watch game development videos, probably it's come up in your recommended feed. I was on that channel. I was a guest for the podcast episode, so if you want to check it out. I don't think I really say much in there that you probably already haven't heard from me watching these streams, but check it out if you're interested. Even though I haven't been able to hang out, at least I've kept my Patreon on. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. And I'm sorry to hear that this past 6 months was not good. So hope things are looking up now. Hope things turn around. Saw the interview you did as well. Awesome. What do you think about recent Steam changes? I think it's good for indies. My opinion on the whole Steam thing is that Steam has a vested interest in selling as many copies of your game as you do, right? So your interests are aligned with Steam interests, right? Steam is going to make more money the more copies of games that they sell. And so they have this pressure to make their product and to refine their algorithm in such a way that they are maximizing the number of sales across every single game on their platform. And so basically that's just a way of me saying, whatever Steam wants to do, I trust them. I don't think, like, they're not going to make a big change that hurts indies because it's going to hurt their bottom line, right? Like, they are going to be more cautious about making changes to that whole recommendation system than we think. Because one wrong change means that they might make like $1 million less a day or something, you know what I mean? So it's like, I trust Steam, our interests are aligned, they are in the same boat as me, and I think that's basically it. Hello, Two Socks X, welcome, good to see you. Hello, Cheesy Spectre. Good morning, world, and all who inhabit it. Hello, welcome. Malicious Rabbit, welcome back. Gonna go watch that. I like that podcast channel. Yeah, I do too. I've been watching it. A lot of cool, interesting devs popping up on that channel. We'll go and check out the podcast right now on BRB. All right, sounds good. Okay, so what am I working on right now? We have yet another brand new, never before seen ability being added to the game right now. This is part of Undercooked Ravioli's suggestion, I think. Yeah. A tentacle. So a tentacle is not unique, but the tentacle shape here is unique. It's like a, what is it? Like a counterclockwise rotated Z shape. I mean, you could just look at it like this is the shape here. So we've got the brand new shape, but we also have a new concept. This passive ability here, it says, upon combat victory with this item on your combat board, create a tentacle sprout at an adjacent empty space. And then the second innate ability is, for each adjacent tentacle sprout item, echo. So this actually creates new items on your board at adjacent spaces. And it creates these tentacle sprouts. And I haven't done anything with the tentacle sprouts yet, but I have ideas. But anyway, and I'm not so sure about these abilities here. I don't know about paralysis and damage, whatever. But the idea is that this kind of like directly scales with how many combats you do, right? Because that's the only way to get tentacle sprouts. And I also don't know if I'm going to call them tentacle sprouts. Like, that's just what I'm calling them right now. But yeah, so this is going to echo for each tentacle sprout that you have. And that echo makes use of that new ability repeater. So we should be able to see this. Yeah, so that did 7 damage. 3 times? Yeah. So it happened to choose the damage when it echoed both times. So anyway, so yeah, we got that going. Now it's just a matter of cleaning this up. There's a couple of things that I want to do. First, I need to figure out what the tentacle sprouts are going to do. I'm almost tempted to, like, I'm just like, make the sprouts very weak, but give them like empty ability slots so you can alchemize them or whatever. I think I also want to change the sell price of these things, because this could just be like an infinite money generator. So I'll probably just force these to have a cost of 0 or a sell price of 0. The other thing too is I can't make the tentacle sprout abilities, I can't make them whatever their base abilities are that powerful, because then you'd have an infinite supply of them and you'd be able to just like keep getting that powerful ability. So these tentacle sprouts probably have to be relatively weak. I think the point of this item is going to be, you know, you get a lot of echoes on this item, so you probably just want to put like a handful of really powerful abilities on the tentacle itself. And then that's it. I just discovered you via your tools you use video. I'm super seasoned web developer and doing game dev as a hobby, getting started with Godot. As such, you've helped a lot. Awesome. Glad to hear that. Glad to hear that, Mini Haj. Welcome, welcome. Emerson, hello, welcome. Good to see you. I would try to sit down and actually learn Godot, since time is going to pass if I do it or not, and the stream being up during my working time felt like fate. Awesome. A lot of people working on their games while they watch. Hello, Abo, welcome back. How do you keep yourself from working on multiple projects at the same time? Probably my biggest issue, spreading myself thin. I mean, honestly, it's like, it's really easy for me to not feel tempted to work on a separate project because I just like Alchemortis so much. And maybe there's something valuable in there. Maybe the reason why you feel like you need to work on a different project is because something's not really clicking in your current project. And that could be for a couple of reasons, right? You know, maybe you should take that as a signal that maybe the current project that you're working on just needs like dedicated effort on your part to figure out like, what is it about the game design that's not working? What is it about the mechanics that aren't working? Is there something just about the visual presentation that's just not very appealing? I would say, like, before abandoning a project and moving on to something else, like, actually make a conscientious effort to dive into those things. Like, really do a deep dive and say, what is it about this game that makes it not compelling for me to work on? And it may be just the case, like, you already did all the fun parts, right? Like, you did all the setting up the systems and whatnot, and now the rest of it is just like, oh, I have to do the other 90% of work to make this an actual game. So yeah, I don't know. You know, I think it's, and it depends on like what kind of person you are. Like, are you doing game development as a hobby? Are you a tinkerer? Are you the kind of person that just like, you get enthralled by a new way of doing things, or you want to learn something new, and you do a prototype project to learn those things, and you do it, but now you've learned everything you want to learn, and now this other idea is more compelling because it has something new in it, right? So I think maybe those are just all the things to like go through in your mind and see what exactly is going on there. And, you know, I was in the same boat, you know, for a long time. Like, I do a prototype project, I kind of lose interest because I did all the fun parts, and I make another one. And I only really got out of that when I just started dedicating myself to making a game from start to finish. Like, I just had to basically say, I'm not working on anything else until I finish this one. So yeah, it's, you know, it's one of those things where there's a lot of factors probably at play. So yeah. How does Globin's multiplayer work? I mean, how can I join the game with my friend from different locations, and it doesn't handle port forwarding, right? I don't remember. I think what I do in Globin's is I actually do... I don't remember. There's a thing you can do on modern routers where you can create, I'm gonna make a fool of myself because I don't remember, but it's called something like hole punching or something. I don't remember. But there's a way that you can actually like open up a port for a temporary amount of time with just the Godot APIs. And then you just like close the port when you're done, or it closes automatically after a certain amount of time. Something like that. Because like the port forwarding was an issue. But what I do in Globin's is I try to open up the port automatically through these APIs. But that's functionality that's only available on like modern routers, I think, or certain subset of routers. But honestly, I don't remember exactly. Hello, AR time. I'm waiting for your next Godot code review. I really like this series. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, Alchemortis is just taking up all of my focus right now, so probably not going to see much happening in terms of code reviews or courses or whatnot until this game is finished. Unfortunately, or fortunately. So tentacle sprouts, we need to come up with some abilities for these guys. I might just give them like really basic I don't know why I'm looking at this. Maybe I'll just give them really basic, like, we'll give them kind of a long cooldown. And then we'll just give them probably just some damage or something. I don't think they need to be super sophisticated because, again, I don't want to be in a situation where the optimal strategy is to like generate these tentacle sprouts and then like use them in alchemy or sell them immediately. I want them to be mostly like supplements to the main tentacle. And so I think I need to make the tentacle sprouts a little bit weak. So I'm just going to probably just do like ability builder dot damage 3 or something. And we'll leave a free ability slot on those so you can use them. The interesting thing about the tentacle is I've classified it as alchemical and weapon. So that should be a little bit interesting. And that's the same for the main tentacle as well. Alchemical weapon. So this is a good way of generating weapon tag items, which could be really good with certain artifacts. You never know. I don't know exactly what artifacts they would be good with, but might be good with certain ones. I don't know. Could be. Who knows? I don't know. So I need to give my friend my IP address, which is not safe. Yeah, I mean, there's no it's just direct like peer-to-peer connection. There's no intermediary. I think the way that connecting on multiplayer technically works if you don't have a dedicated server, or typically works, I mean, if you don't have a dedicated server, is there's like a middleman server that you both connect to, and then that middleman server will sort of like do the orchestration to connect the clients together. This is how things like, if you've ever done web dev, like you use like local tunnel, or what was the other one? Well, local tunnel is the one I always used, but what was the other one? ngrok or something like that? There's actually like a third server that serves as an intermediary between like your device and whatever's trying to connect to your device. But yeah, the Globins game is not that sophisticated. Okay, so build. Can't I make a multiplayer game in Godot where the player who's going to host the game receives a random code and he sends it to his friends and join him? I don't know how the random code lobbies work. I think that probably still requires some kind of third-party server or data store, because at the end of the day, you need a way of mapping a code to your connection details, right? If you just encode the connection details in the code, that's still going to be like reverse engineerable, right? So let's say that you somehow were able to stuff your IP information into like a short code or something, which should, I guess, be possible because, you know, there are more letters than numbers. If you just want to do pure like letter-based code. But like if you just encode your IP information in the code itself, then people are still going to be able to reverse engineer that and figure out what your IP was. So if you're going to have like a lobby code system, you would need to register like a mapping of that code to your connection details in a database of some sort. And then it would perform a database lookup against that code. You can get a VPN if you don't trust the other person. Yeah, it's ngrok, but there are other things you can use now. Also, you have DHCP giving your current IP. It's irrelevant. It is irrelevant mostly. Reverse proxy, yeah. Thank you, Snubbill, for the IDR 10,000. Very much appreciate that. With the message yummers, thank you, thank you. Welcome back, Snubbill. Always good to see you. Oh, I just thought of another corrupted ability. Hee hee. I have an idea for a corrupted ability. You guys can tell me if this is a little bit evil or not. It costs money to sell this item. So instead of the item selling and giving you 2 blood, you have to pay 2 blood to get it off of your board. That might feel a little bit too bad, but I'm going to do it anyway and see how it works. I think if that feels too bad, I'll just change this to be like it sets the sell price to 0. But anyway. I don't really like how that art turned out either. I'm going to fix that. So deal 3 damage. Right, okay. I like to get better at coding in GDScript and Godot. Just watched your composition versus inheritance video, and that was really helpful. What other of your vids should I watch? You should watch all of them. Put all of my videos in your back catalog, including all streams, and just 24/7. No, I'm kidding. I think the code review videos would be really helpful. So the code review videos are just like a generic, not a generic, they're a general high-level overview of viewer-submitted projects. And so the code review videos are a great way to get exposure to how other people are building their games, as well as the little tidbits of information and advice I give during those code review videos. But again, that's like, it's very high level. It's not a tutorial. It's more so, let's open up this project and see what's going on under the hood. And I kind of like explain certain things about how things are working, what improvements could be made, if any. Okay, so the next challenge is we need to figure out how to set this tentacle sprout to 0 cost. You monster. Hello, Chris. Welcome. Good to see you. You're welcome, Seven Dragon. You're welcome. Also, I mean, the live streams too, like, I mean, you're already here, but you know, you can feel free to ask questions on a live stream, or I think some people find it helpful to just see how I'm building things. All right. How am I going to set the price to 0? Let's do... Calculate sell price base card. Okay. Modify sell price. Honestly, I think that I'm going to rework this sell price system a little bit. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to move to everything using the ability system, which maybe sounds like not a good idea, but so here's what I'm going to do. We're going to do public int base sell price, get private set, public int sell price we were going to want a sell price modification. Let's do modifier, sell price modifier. And we're also going to need a public int sell price override. And we'll make this nullable. Okay. Sell price modification.cs. ability value provider int value provider. Execution context.base card.sell price modifier plus equals value provider.get value. Oh, this needs to extend base card ability. Okay. So we got the value provider there. Sell price modification. Let's do this. Bool is override equals false. Execution context.base card.sell price override is equal to value provider.get value. Else. Okay, so then in base card, reset non-combat modifiers. In here, we're going to set the sell price override is equal to null. And then sell price modification, self price modifier is equal to 0. So we reset all that stuff in there. Okay. So we've got this new ability that can modify the sell price. So now what I do is get modified sell price. We are going to change this. This is going to become, we don't need the current price. We're going to do base price is equal to sell price override, null coalescing to base sell price. And then we are just going to do return mathf.max of 0. See, this is clamped to 0, so I'm not going to be able to do that, but we can just do base price plus sell price modification. Or no. Actually, what this needs to be base sell price plus sell price modifier. And then in here, we need to use the override. Sell price override null coalescing to base price. We'll call that modified price. Now the cat's being annoying. 1 second. What? What? Look at those wrinkles. How old are you? Look at those wrinkles. Oh. Goodness gracious. He is like this cat is the most friendly, most sociable, just goofball of a cat that I've ever had the pleasure of owning. But the flip side of that coin is that he's also the most annoying and attention-hungry cat of all time. So you take the good with the bad, I guess. It's okay, buddy. I still love you. I still love you. Okay. Hello, Zachary Hemi. Welcome. Good to see you again. Imagine selling it to get that one last blood. That's going to be a very rage moment. Yeah. Could I know what's your text app you're using? This is VS Code if you're talking about the IDE. I have to learn how to do bot AI for my minimal RTS next, and it feels like a massive wall for me to climb. Watching you get stuff done is helping me feel inspired. Awesome. Did you try coding agents on Godot? Not agents specifically. I mean, I use the LLMs with Godot sometimes, and I feel like they're generally pretty good. Charred chicken, yeah. Cats are never annoying. The dev is bugged. Uh-oh. Okay, so get modified sell price. That will just return the current sell price with the overrides. This... So this is going to be the kind of thing where I need to grab this. This calculate sell price is actually wrong now. So when we create the card, we'll just go ahead and say base sell price is equal to sell count. So we'll calculate the sell price in there. This can probably go away since that lives on the card now. Okay. And we're going to get rid of yeah. So we're going to get rid of modify sell price on here. We're going to have to address that in a second. Okay, so where are all the places that I've broken? A text app for our ideas. Oh, Obsidian. This is Obsidian with the Kanban plugin. Okay, so this would be get modified sell price. And then all right. So now I need to update this enchant. Okay, so this would be... And we've got the value provider. So we do a new generic value provider int. This will just return sell price increase. And it's not an override. Put the sell price modifier in there. The description template is increase sell price by description keywords dot icon blood. I think that's right. Oh, I have get translation ID. Apparently I can't access it there. Why can't I do that? All right, well, that's fine. Okay, for the description, we return sell price increase dot get description. Okay, this needs to be is hidden, set to true. So I'm trying to move everything to the ability system. That just makes the system much more predictable, and I don't have a bunch of this secondary logic. So if everything is just going through the ability system, then it's just a lot easier to manage, I think. So we're gonna have to test that sell price enchant. Actually, I should be ready to do that now. So let's just do a quick test, make sure everything still works as expected. Okay. So this one sells for 3, that's correct. That sells for 2, that's correct. That sells for 1. Okay, so the initial base value is being set up correctly. Now if I do add enchant this, increases sell price by 10. Why did that not work? Oh, did I have to... Let's rebuild. Oh. I need to return... I need to do this. Okay, now let's try it. C# scoping strikes again, yeah. That's okay, I don't need any scoping. I don't need that scoping to be fixed in that particular instance. Okay. Oops, that's not right. Man, what is it called? Okay. What happens if I sell it? Oh, yeah, it's not working. Okay, so I didn't do something right. What did I not do correctly? Guess we'll just put a breakpoint here and see what happens. I don't know what I did wrong. Hello, Kville. Welcome. I don't know why that issue is happening. Okay, anyway. It's not working at all. What did I do wrong here? What did I do wrong? That should have just been like a drop-in replacement. Oh. It's not running. Oh, I just realized I need to set this up too. So it's not including the enchants in the non-combat update phases. That means that artifact non-combat abilities will also not work. So it's only doing the passive abilities. Dang. Okay. I don't know what I'm going to do about this. Passive abilities do not work if they come from artifacts and if they come from enchants. So I think what I need to do here is basically trying to think of how I want to do this. I need artifacts, enchants, and the natural composed abilities here. How do I want to do this? This is the only place that this is used. So in the future, I may want to cache this because this is just being fetched all the time. I may just want to cache this until something about it changes, like the enchants or the artifacts or whatever. But I think for now, what I need to do is I'm just going to do this. This is going to get pretty confusing, but we're going to do this and this and then this. So we grab the artifacts first, we populate that, we grab the enchant second, we populate that, and then we do the composed abilities. Okay. I hope that works. Hopefully that works. Okay, we can go back in now and see. Maybe it's because you sold it via the shortcut. Has some similar bug with my game. No, No, it's all that stuff is flowing through the same like get price logic. So it shouldn't be that. Okay, now it's working. So sells for 13, boom. Okay, that works. Goodness gracious. Now I just realized something. Okay. So I think that's all working now. All of that was in service of making it so that the tentacle sprout can be a zero cost sell. I really do think I can probably cache that. Okay. But I'm not done. Because now I need to go to my base card. No. Card definition resource. Export. Public int. Okay, so then in my base card, if it's greater than or equal to 0, we'll say base sell price is equal to base sell price override. So now I can define the base sell price. Actually, let's rename this to. Actually, that's probably fine. So I can specify that in the card definition resource now if I want it to have a different sell price than what gets automatically calculated. So now I can do down here, base sell price override. I can set this to 0, and that should work. So I put this here. Let's go ahead and do this. This should have a sell for 0. I should be able to sell it. Nothing happens. So that works. Wow, did I really just get the Blood Bulb Blossom? I just got the rarest item in the game in my testing. Anyway. Hello, yes, we're working on a new tentacle item. The command menu makes me really want to add dev tools to my game. That would save so much time. Yeah, we're doing a new tentacle item. It echoes for each tentacle sprout, and it creates tentacle sprouts next to it when you win a combat. Hello, Amir. Can I ask what you're doing? I'm working on Alchemortis. I'm working on my game Alchemortis, which you can check out below. Chat is a little bit silent. Ad hoc methods for the win. Hello, Light Tiramisu, welcome. Are you implying that tentacles aren't a valued member of society? Yeah. A bit stuck with how I want to streamline controlling mouse mode state, especially when I can spawn stuff like inventory windows now. Yeah, that can be hard. I don't know what kind of game you're making, so it's like highly dependent on what kind of game you're making. Like, obviously, if you're making a first-person shooter, then you need to go from like a captured mouse mode to like just like a free mouse mode, like captured and hidden mouse mode to, you know, just like normal mouse experience. For me, since this is just like, you know, you interact with the UI with the mouse always, it's just a matter of making sure to use the mouse filters on the various control elements properly. So like when this screen, not this screen, when this screen shows up, there's a control in the background that sits behind everything. And then when I detect a click on that control, I can dismiss the inventory. And then since there's no longer a control blocking the mouse input, I can interact with all these elements again. So if you're just making like a game where it's all like UI work, it's just a matter of managing your scene tree structure and the mouse filters, because the input system, the way that the input system propagates makes a lot of sense. Essentially, the way it works is like the element that's visible first, or the element that's visible on top of everything else, is the first thing to receive input, which makes sense, right? Because the rendering order is that way, like whatever items are lower on the tree, whatever nodes are lower on the tree, render on top of everything before it. And it's the same for input handling. The input handling happens like from bottom up. So generally speaking, whatever element is visible in the foreground is also the element that's going to be the first to receive the input. I got him another tentacle. I still don't know if I like the fact that this is a paralysis ability. I also don't know why paralysis targets minions by default. I'm going to change that. Okay. So I actually don't know what I'm going to do with this. I may just create a new card here. We need flavor text for this. And then item. We need a new name. I need a name for this one too. Okay, I'm just going to delete this because I didn't exactly use the suggestion, but that was inspired by undercooked ravioli, so there we go. Got a tentacle in the game now. Can you tell me about a little bit about your game? All the details are in the Steam page below. It's a dark fantasy roguelite auto battler where you can use alchemy to build your own synergies. That's the elevator pitch. The problem is more so I hate having to write very similar code for the issue. This kind of came up in a few prototypes already. Intuition tells me it's possible to make a generic manager for this. Yeah, probably. I mean, that's what I had to do for controller support. Do you not have a traversable focus queue that grows and shrinks as the player navigates through the menus? I did implement something like that for controller support. With the amount of space that thing takes up, it seems like it'll be difficult to use in a normal run. Maybe. We'll see. The tentacle spawns a tentacle sprout at an adjacent empty spot on victory. But yeah, that may be true. It may be hard to use it. But I can just like buff it, you know what I mean? I can buff it. Oh yeah, there is a playtest running, that's for sure. Yeah, you can try out the game if you're interested. Okay. We will find something else to work on in a second, but I'm going to take a quick 3-minute break, and when I come back, yeah, we'll see what we can do. BRB. All right, I'm back. Yes, you can join the playtest from the Steam page. You can join the Discord, Amir, if you want to submit your feedback. I kind of already did that. Let's see. Do I have any other enchants that... Let's see. I do have to figure out what to do about this global query enchant. Okay, I think that one's actually done. So that's done. Let's see, what bugs do I have? Okay, anyway. Prevent fairy wings from targeting reagents cooldown paths across all items. Verify that reagents are not targeted by alchemy added ability. Prevent artifacts from adding abilities to reagents. Nerf remove global query enchant. I kind of want to do this one. Make unicorn horn reveal the next random ability that will be added and rotate it when alchemy is performed. This is something that I want to try. Right now, I think unicorn horn is a little bit useless as an artifact because you just don't know what's happening. But I'm thinking if the unicorn horn shows you in its tooltip what the next ability that will be added is, then I think that it might make alchemy more interesting because you can plan around that, right? So we're going to try it. Hello, Junie, welcome back. Recently watched the playtesting video you made, really nice, but I was wondering, do you have any tips on marketing for an indie game? Or do you have a video planned? I don't have any tips. No, marketing is a weak spot of mine, so I'm likely not going to make a video about it. Yeah, I don't have anything special or interesting to say about that because I just don't know what I'm doing. So... yeah, I'm sorry. There's other developers on YouTube that have better insights into how to market. I'm just not one of those people. Hello, Vincent. Just saw your episode on Dev Dream Pod. Pretty cool insight. Thank you. Glad you liked it. That was a fun one. All right, make unicorn horn reveal the next ability. This is going to be a little bit interesting. I think this is actually going to be really difficult to do because I have to maintain the seed on alchemy. So collect reagent stats, then that's when it does on alchemy. Let's see. Emit alchemization finished. I think what I'm going to need to do game events.instance.connect to alchemization finished. On alchemization finished, we'll just scroll all the way down. Private void on alchemization finished. We're going to do handle artifacts. Okay. We're going to do on virtual void on alchemization finished. Artifact context. I actually don't think I need to pass it along any other information. So now I have a virtual method that I can override. So let's do public override void on alchemization finished. Now here's the other thing I'm going to need to do. We're going to need to persist the seed to the save file as well for this unicorn horn, but that should be fine. All right, so let's do this. Private random number generator, RNG. I'm trying to think if this should itself be seeded. Or if I just should do a random one. Let's change this to a convert to a normal constructor. RNG is equal to new random number generator. RNG.randomize. We'll worry about persisting that later. Let's call this stable RNG. We can make this read only, I suppose. Okay, and then we're going to do private random number generator. I don't know. We'll just call this transient RNG, I guess. So this is basically a copy of the stable RNG. This is going to need to be reset. So in on alchemy here, instead of taking the alchemy context RNG here, instead of taking the alchemy context RNG, yeah, we're gonna have to restructure this whole thing actually. Private void, let's just do rotate next, or let's just do rotate ability. Actually, maybe I don't need this transient RNG. There's a lot to think about here. Let's do, I don't know, populate current ability. I think I take this block here, put this in there. So the start index is going to be the transient RNG. We're actually going to want to recreate the transient RNG in there. So we create the transient RNG from the stable RNG. So that means that if we call this multiple times before we advance the stable RNG, it's going to return the same result every time. So this is going to be idempotent, right? So the idea is that this will always return the same ability every time I call it until I explicitly advance this RNG, the stable RNG. So what this block is doing here is this is essentially, it's grabbing a list of all the items in the game. And then what it's doing is it's getting a start index, which is just going to choose a random ID. And then what it does is it grabs the, it creates a card instance with that ID, or at that index rather. It filters down the composed abilities where they are alchemizable. If that happens to be a 0 length array, then I increase the index by 1, but wrap back to the beginning. So essentially we pick a random starting point in the array. And if we happen to land on an item that has no abilities that we can choose to add to the alchemy, then we just keep incrementing the index by 1 until we find one. And this is actually built to wrap around. So if we happen to choose the last element in the all IDs array here, or list rather, or no, it's an array. If we happen to choose the last element in that array, we wrap back to the beginning, and we just keep doing that until we get back to the start index. Now, this is basically not possible. There are for sure guaranteed items in the game that have abilities that are alchemizable. That's actually the vast majority of items. So this is just like extra really safe to prevent, you know, infinite hangs in, you know, it's just defensive, but really this is completely unnecessary, this infinite hang guard, because it's just not possible. But, you know, it doesn't hurt to be defensive, right? So we find an ability, we assign that to the current ability, which is defined up here. And so now we can simplify this on alchemy here, because We don't need this block anymore. And we don't need that. And then we can just do another guard in here if current ability is equal to null, otherwise current ability dot duplicate. Okay. I actually think that this is wrong as well. We're going to put the effect triggered signal in there, and we're going to get rid of this. So this is just narrowly responsible now for adding that random ability, the current, let's do current random ability. So this is going to add the current random ability, a duplicate of it, so we're not sharing references, right? We add the current random ability to all of the non-reagent input cards that are affected. Okay. But we're still not advancing this stable RNG. So what I'll do in on alchemization finished is I'll just do stable RNG dot, we'll just do randf. So because we're calling a random function, that's going to update the internal state of the random number generator. And then we also probably want to call populate current ability here. So we advance the stable RNG, call populate current ability. The transient RNG now has a different state, or has that new state, and so it'll pick a different ability. Now in the constructor here, let's just call populate current ability as well. So I still am not yet considering how to store the seed, because if my unicorn horn says that the next ability added is going to be this, and then I close the game and re-enter the game, I don't want my unicorn horn's ability that it's going to add next to change. So that's why I need to persist the RNG state to... Actually, you know what? That may not actually be the correct way to do it either. Because let's say that I add a new patch to the game that adds more items. That's going to change the result. This is only going to be idempotent between saves if none of the abilities on none of the cards are changing. So what I actually probably want to do is I probably want to store the provenance of the base composed ability. And the provenance is essentially just an object that says, where does this ability come from? So I actually don't want to, well, I do want to persist the seed and the provenance of the current random ability. Okay, so that's going to be a little bit tricksy. Let's just get this working first, and then I'll figure all that out in a second. Is there like a description override? Oh, addendum. Right, how do I do the addendum? Let's see. Well, here's another problem. I don't really have a good way. Maybe I do actually. I don't really like this, but I'll just call it like addendum override or something. I don't know. I'm going to make this its own method. Okay, so let's do this. If addendum should display func is equal to false, or is equal to, let's do not equal to, should display func is not equal to false. I think not equal to true is what I want. Return null. Right, because if the addendum is null or this should display func returns false, then we want to return null for the addendum text. Okay. If addendum, I think this will enforce that it's not null too. So if it's null, it's going to return here. So now I can just assume that the addendum is not null. Addendum dot composability addendum override. If that's not equal to null, we're going to return addendum dot composability addendum override dot get description. And then we can return the format description here. Okay. So translated addendum, this becomes get addendum text. Okay. We can actually avoid all this trouble too if I just do hide addendum is null, and then I can get rid of this term there. Okay. Okay, so now here, addendum, new addendum config, composability addendum override. Oh, shoot. I have to create a new addendum object every time I grab a new ability. That's okay. All right, now we want to change the this is going to be a little bit tricky. Let's look at the unicorn horn here. I'm on the same spot regarding marketing. Thanks for the insight and content. You're welcome. Does Godot have a compile time like Unity for C# code? Yes. Yeah, I mean, you can't get around the fact that if you have C# code, it needs to be built. It is relatively fast, though. Like if I build right now, okay, well, that was not so fast. That was like, what, 10 or 12 seconds, something like that. But I think there's some room for improvement with Godot. Like, first of all, if it detects that no files have changed, it's very quick. So it tries to compile the project every time you run, but if nothing has changed, it's very, very quick. But I think one of the problems with the Godot C# integration that makes it slower is that Godot also has to update the editor with all of the export properties and whatnot. Like any C# code that would affect how the editor is displaying information needs to be updated. And I've noticed that the C# build can complete, but then the Godot editor like hangs for a couple additional seconds. I'm assuming it's because it's like updating the global classes and then like any data about the editor that's being changed with your C# code. So I kind of hope that they figure out a way to streamline that, because like that's a huge part of the delay is like Godot just freezing while it's updating everything. The C# build, like if you do a C# build from the command line, it's like almost always really fast. It's just the Godot hang like exacerbates that speed. Compile times are generally low, yeah. That has been my experience as well. Anyway. So the unicorn horn. Adds a random ability to all alchemy input items. And then I need to say like something like next ability. I don't know. Let's do this. Okay. I just want to see if this works. My Godot doesn't hang when I recompile the GD extension. Hot reload works pretty reliably. Also on Linux though. I found your stream from a YouTube video I watched yesterday about you making a Game Jam game. Very awesome. Awesome, Dozy Burrito. Welcome. Yeah, the Game Jam devlogs are some of my favorite content to create. Okay, so now I'm seeing the ability in Unicorn Horn here. So that worked. And then this now says apply 3 armor for each time fire. So it's cycling through now. So if I do this again. Now what does it say? For each unique status applied since, yeah. So it's just pulling random abilities and it's working properly. But what I need to do is I need to say like, next ability on that or something. Oh, I just realized that this may not actually be correct. Do you love how verbose that is? I might just have to do... This is ballooning a little bit, but... Addendum prefix translation key. So addendum prefix, tr, oops. I think that will work. I have no idea. Build. I could easily see editor freezes being more of a Windows bottleneck with IO rather than .NET support. Need some testing. I'm going to change this. Okay. Let's see if that works at all. Okay. I'm going to make sure I didn't break anything else. Okay. Ooh, that's the pikeman, is that what it's called? Really? Wait, I forgot what it's called. Anyway, so that is working. All right, initial work on unicorn horn rework. So hopefully now that you know what abilities are going to be added, it's a little bit more helpful. That tentacle is a contender for the highest quality asset in the game so far. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I think the unfortunate or fortunate thing about having worked on this game for so long, and also like I'm still learning pixel art. So it's not like I started this game with like a bunch of pixel art skill. So the unfortunate thing is that, or the fortunate thing, like I said, is that as the development goes on, I get better at pixel art, but then the quality of my previous art is very obviously not as good. And so I have to go back and probably redraw a bunch of things. But I'll do that. I mean, and that's something that's like, it's not super critical. Like that's something where I could do a lot of that after the game releases. Like I could just in follow-up patches say like, hey, I touched up this art or I changed this art or whatever. Because they're not like, you know, they're not super critical for gameplay reasons. Those are just like icing polish elements, you know. All right, so now I need to set up some persistent state here. Is it public? Hold on. Yeah. Persistent state. Okay. So the nice thing about my save file system is that I can just, in a lot of my classes, I can just override this persistent state object, and then it just automatically works. So persistent state is basically just a way of defining how arbitrary data gets serialized and deserialized. So I can just, on a per class basis, define like what needs to be persistent to the save file and how that data gets loaded from the save file. And so there's this persistent state object, which just takes a generic t, and then it defines a function, a getter function that is supposed to return t, and then an action which passes in t as the setter. And then I'm just doing some fancy stuff in here, like get state will call get, set state will take an object and cast it to that state object. And then in deserialize, what will happen is that it will call set with the data deserialized to that type. So that's how I define random, or not random, what's the word? Unknown save state data. So now we can actually test this. So let's turn off this. Let's turn off ignore save file. Let's do clear save data. So this says deal 1 damage per 3 stacks of armor. Okay. So if I close this now, I can take a look at my save file. And if we go down and we look at the artifacts, unicorn horn, here's that persistent state object with the key stable RNG. I also have a JSON converter. So this is like an extension for system.text.json kind of. You can define your own JSON converters. And so I wrote a converter for random number generator, which basically just takes Godot's random number generator type. It pulls out the state and the seed, and it puts those as just number values in the JSON. And then the deserialization, it defines how to read the deserialization. So it parses them as ulongs, so on and so forth. Okay, anyway, so that's pretty cool. But we've got that stable RNG with the state and the seed here. So now if I go back, I should see exactly that same ability in the unicorn horn. Deal 1 damage per 3 stacks of armor. So then I'm going to go ahead and do this. I should see that ability. Yep, deal 1 damage per 3 stacks of armor. And then in here, next ability is deal 12 damage. So I close the game, I go back in, I'll see if it saves properly. And there it is, deal 12 damage. Okay. So that's done. The last thing that I want to try is I just want to make sure that it works correctly if I pick it up naturally. Unfortunately, I cannot change the loot table weight of artifacts. So we'll just go in here. Change the loot table weight. We've got ignore unlocks on. Generate test map. Actually, let's just go find an artifact. Next ability, apply 10% blind. Okay, cool. So now I should get both of these abilities, 12 damage and 10% blind. Yep, there's the 12 damage and 10% blind. And then this one will have just one of those. I wonder why that one took precedence. Anyway, Hopefully that makes the unicorn horn a little bit more valuable now if you can see what's going on with it. But that's done. Okay. I think that will be it for the stream today. I'm gonna go get some lunch. I have some errands to do. But thank you all for watching. Thank you for being here. The playtest is still running. So if you want to go to Alchemortis on Steam, you can join the playtest from the Steam page here. And you can join the Discord to let me know what feedback you may have. I think we've collected pretty much all the feedback that's going to be coming in from this playtest. All the big things have been mentioned several times, and there's a lot of bugs, which I've already fixed in the master branch. So I think we're in good shape, but you can still feel free to put your feedback in the Discord in case you find something that hasn't been mentioned yet. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for being here. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. Okay, bye-bye.